Gerard the completionist is gone, and Matt Pat of Game Theory is gone. Gaming YouTube is now a better place. Two major sources of cancer in this community are no longer going to be uploading new content. And as a result, their audience is slowly going to fade away, and nobody's really going to be able to fulfill the void that they encompassed, right? Like it's just not going to be possible. Right? Gerard spent years building up his brand, and now that he's done it already, nobody's going to be able to do the same thing he did with like completing all these games and like giving short reviews of them or whatever. No one's ever going to be able to do what Matt Pat did. Like they have established the standard, and nobody's ever going to like reach those heights again. Nobody's going to reach those numbers. Nobody's ever going to make that kind of money. No one's going to be able to game the system like they did, right? And as a result of that, YouTube is a better place. No one's going to be able to fill that void. And as a result, we're going to get like a bazillion more React channels. We're going to get like some lame gaming like commentary channels. We're going to get some like fake news channels, right? Like YouTube is going to become a worse and worse place, but people aren't going to watch the content. It's going to be glorious seeing more and more YouTubers fail because the big names that were keeping this platform relevant, people like the completionists, people like MatPat, the people they were associating with, are fading away, right? The gaming YouTube community is changing. And because these big controlled names, people with these sponsorship deals, people with these connections, people who like scam charities, right? These people are going away. And as a result of that, the community is going to be less and less controlled as we become more and more fractured, and more people start giving their actual opinions as opposed to simply regurgitating something that like is SEO approved, like what Moist Critical does or whatever, right? And I think like the longer people like Moist Critical exist, people who know like the milk toast commentary, like the non-controversial take on every topic, like when people realize that they're being played, that like Moist Critical is one of the biggest um hmm I can't say anything nice about Moist Critical, right? Like I'm trying to find a politically correct name to call him, but all I can come up with is just like things that I probably shouldn't say on YouTube, right? Like Moist Critical is awful. Is what I'm getting at. His community is awful. Like Asmongold, that's a really good example where like everybody, like a couple of days ago, everyone was celebrating his attempts at like circumventing like the Japanese localization thing. He was going after Jamie Marchi and those people, like the same thing Nick Rekieta did. And what happens? The same thing that happened to Rekieta. That like Asmongold revealed that he was involved with a charity scam, and it's erupting into this controversy in regards to him and several other channels, right? Asmongold was always scum, even if he's going after someone like Jamie Marchi, right? Like going after people like that, going after like YouTube pedophiles, going after like, making fun of that chick who made the apology video with the ukulele. That does not make you a good person. It does not make you interesting. It does not make you fun to watch, right? You are the most boring man on YouTube, Moist Critical. Like, you're terrible, right? Your audience are sheep. They are cattle that you milk for views. You milk them, you take their udders, and they just spurt out dollar bills, right? For now. But it's not going to last. The SEO is going to change. The structure of YouTube is going to change. Ad revenue is going to pay less and less. And suddenly, you're not going to be able to pay your bills, right? Suddenly, the entire thing is going to collapse, and you're going to be left with nothing, okay? That is the fate that awaits all YouTubers, right? People who refuse to get real jobs and just choose to live like this man-child lifestyle forever, right? It happened to the completionist, and it's gonna happen to you, right? It is glorious to see. So, the thing about this though, we are seeing a lot of these YouTubers leaving. We're seeing a lot of them quitting. And I do think a big reason for that is that, like, first of all, they're tired of it, right? It becomes a job after a certain point. You have to be involved with like every little thing when it comes to the production. You have to edit, you have to do voiceover work, you have to plan like a year's worth of videos, you have to like plan out your growth for the year, you have to like think about SEO and YouTube policies and stuff like that. You have to like just cater to your demographic, right? It is exhausting, right? And but second of all, and I do think this is the most important thing, um YouTube is not lucrative, right? The meme that like you could make $1 million by just vlogging about whatever, like, well, first of all, that was never true to begin with, but more and more people are starting to like learn the realities of what that means, right? The reality of what it means to make money on the internet. You know, people are going to come after you. They are going to talk about people that you associate with. They are going to like speculate on your personal life. They are going to come after you, right? They're going to try and like ruin your career. They're going to try and do everything they possibly can to ruin you, right? And for most people, it just isn't sustainable to live under that kind of scrutiny, right? Eventually, you end up like Dark Side Phil and are just begging people for money on streams, right? Like he makes like what, like $200,000 a year. And you could argue that like, well, if he stopped blowing so much money on WWE Legends, he would be more popular. He would be probably be bringing in more money. He would probably be able to like salvage his career. But that simply isn't true, right? Like if it wasn't WWE Legends, it would be something else, right? People would find other things to make fun of Phil for. And I think it's only a matter of time until either Moist Critical and other YouTubers um, they become as unpopular as Phil and they become locals, or worse, they become irrelevant and nobody cares about them. Nobody watches their content at all. Nobody cares, right? And so their entire like empire just collapses, right? So for me, like what I think is happening is that like the big YouTubers, the people who like understand how this works to a science, like, you know, the actual intelligent people involved with this process, people like Matt Pat, you know, people like that know that YouTube is on the way out, right? It isn't a viable income source going forward, right? Because you do have to give up your private information. You do have to give up like certain facets of normal everyday life. Like you don't become you're not an ordinary person when you're a YouTuber, right? Like even when you become an e-celeb, you suddenly become like this target for a lot of people. And I think for the vast majority of the population, nobody would be able to handle it. Like I think it is a lifestyle that will not be appealing to a lot of people, right? Like it does take work to be successful on YouTube. And more as the ad revenue goes down, more and more there will be more and more reason to stay away from it. And I think that we are going to see an end of YouTube streaming culture very soon. I hope people stop giving them money. I hope people stop paying attention to them. I hope people stop caring about e-celebs because they are the absolute scum of the earth, right? Matt Pat is doing the right thing by backing out when he is, even though he has like, you know, a decade's worth of just terrible videos at this point. But like he's doing the right thing backing off. And honestly, you should probably do the same thing.